listening to Out of the Box with Rosie Tran. Out of the Box is sponsored by hugmetease.com. Spread love, give a hug, hugmetease.com. Guys, don't forget, we're now on soundcloud.com/Out of the Box podcast. All of you guys on iTunes and Stitcher, mosey on over to SoundCloud and click on the follow button. We don't have as many followers yet, and we're sad. We're sad on SoundCloud. So go over and follow us, and that makes us very happy. And as always, we love positive comments and likes and subscriptions. I am here today with director and comedian Dante and his beautiful fiance and hilarious comedian and star of the movie Bro What Happened, Rebekah Kochan. Rebekah, how are you?
Hi,
Dante?
thanks for having me.
He's here too.
I'm here. I'm a person.
Both of us, sorry, together. How are you?
Good. And also, you were the host of the AVN Awards last year.
I was of the Porn Awards.
This year, yeah.
This year, yeah.
That is so
2014.
cool.
I know. It was really exciting.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was one of those things where I've wanted to go forever. I've known Ron Jeremy forever. I've asked him. And every time I ask him, it's like they just ended. So I was too stupid to ever ask in time. But I thought it was going to be this wild, crazy party. And it is
So
the
did
most...
I.
Is it really subdued?
It is so
Super
corporate. It's so
and
yes.
like the girls are there to just work, and
They stand at these booths. They sign autographs all day. They
Right.
go out and strip at night. And they go to bed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it is not
It's
orgies
not-
everywhere.
like they're there for business. You know,
Yeah.
it's a business trip for them.
And as I don't know if you guys have ever done colleges as a comedian, but those booths can be pretty brutal.
The what?
I have not
The booths?
colleges at the booth.
Oh my gosh. I did NACA in 2006, and you stand at that booth and you pimp yourself like a hoe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds exciting.
It's a
How
lot
was that?
of work. It is a lot of work. You're actually standing there and you're like, well, I guess with the girls for the AVN, they're just promoting themselves, right?
Right.
But for NACA, you're like trying to get work, so you're on, and you got to be on, and you're in those booths for 8 hours, and
Did it pay off for you?
it did a little bit.
I mean, if you book one gig, it's worth having the booth, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to badmouth my former college agent there.
That's a good idea.
He's a very nice gentleman, but there was some issues.
Right.
But
Which happen in comedy.
It happens.
it's work. Being in the booth is work. Smiling, your mouth gets tired. You're like, I'm tired of smiling.
I've never done it before. I've always wanted to, but I don't know why I don't do it. I don't know why.
It's a lot of work. I would love to do it again. I haven't been. I'm currently searching for a college agent. If you're listening, anyone. But it's definitely, it's kind of the corporatization of comedy, because comics, we sit at home, we write jokes, we smoke
Right.
pot, we do some radio in the morning, and then we do a show.
Right.
Most of our work is traveling, but when you're in that booth, for me, it's hard for me to be on for more than an hour. It's pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
You don't
I
do
think it's
stand up in the booth, though, right? You just introduce yourself, hand out stuff, thank them, tell
You
about
do,
yourself.
but the kids want you to be funny and they kind of want you to be what you are, like in a Midwestern radio show, like kind of zany.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be hard to maintain
8 hours
all
worth.
day.
It's really hard, and new groups of kids walk by every time, every few minutes, and they kind of want to be entertained.
Sure.
And they want you to be zany. Let's
I
just say
get
that.
it.
Yeah.
I work for the ShamWow guy, and I help him write and direct or whatever he needs from me, project to project. And a lot of times we take these new products and we have to go to conventions and we sit there in booths, and he and I are the wacky zany guys in the booth for 10 hours, and I get it. It sucks.
Hours. Yay.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's like get there at
It's a
6 in the
long time.
morning and leave at 6 at night, or 4 at night, whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I want to talk about, you were writing on Fashion Police when Joan passed away.
We both
Yeah.
Oh,
wrote
you both
for
were.
it.
I
yeah.
did not know that. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Was it just like obviously Joan was older, but it was probably a huge shock.
It was a
Huge
shock.
shock. We were in Reno when it happened.
And, let me give you more backstory on it, because this is an important piece. We were writers for her for a long time, and then we went on strike. So we were on strike, actually, when she passed away. And we hadn't spoken with her or seen her in months, but, the strike was all about just fair wages. It's the only show, Fashion Police, the only show on E that doesn't have union. For the writers.
Which
Just
is
so you guys
which
know,
is crazy.
Dante is telling a very serious story as Rebekah is oodling over the puppies in the house.
Yes. That is true. That is
That's
true.
pretty much our life, right?
But anyway,
She's like not paying attention at all. She's like, puppies.
Puppies. I know.
she loves puppies. Me too. I love that your dogs are named after club owners. You have Mitzi Shore from the Comedy Store and Jamie Masada from the Laugh Factory. I love it.
Everyone makes fun of me. All the comics are like, "Do you hate your dogs?" I'm like, "No, it's just a cute, quirky like."
It's
thing.
funny. I love it.
You're a
Silly.
comic. It's adorable. I love it.
But anyway, so we were on strike, and we both loved Joan. Like, the strike had nothing to do with her.
It was just the pay issue.
Yeah, it was a pay issue, and that's
purely.
against Comcast, not her. Like, Comcast is the employer. They own E, they pay us, so that's where our issue was. But it devastated us. Like, we knew it was coming, obviously, because she was in the coma for 2 weeks, and, of course we'd try to pray for it, but when you hear how long she wasn't breathing, you know that no good outcome's going to happen. So luckily we had braced ourselves, but we both cried that night and had some extra drinks in Reno when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's, my comedy idol. Like, she's the best.
A lot of people don't know either. I get frustrated when people say, "Oh, the fashion police lady or the red carpet lady." They don't realize she was the stand-up for 70 years?
Forever. Literally forever.
Forever. One of the first
And
women
Dot
on the
Matrix
Tonight Show.
from Spaceballs, they don't realize either because it doesn't look like her.
Right. I know.
She is just a stand-up comedy legend, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of people literally just don't know that, or they call her plastic surgery lady or whatever.
I know. It's so disrespectful.
It is. She was doing, one-nighters in places that they didn't even allow women to talk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she was a pioneer, and she hates when people say she was a pioneer for women, but she was. Because she likes to say I was a pioneer in comedy.
Yeah.
But she was a
Which
pioneer
she
in
is.
both. She was a pioneer in both, but she did open a million doors for women that weren't open when she came around. She did. And I hope she's proud of that. I'm sure she was, but I think what offended her is when they'd say you're my favorite female comedian, or
Well,
you
I
did
think
so much
that's offensive
for
in general.
females.
Absolutely. I hate it when people say that.
I agree with that.
Like, you're so funny for a girl comic. Like, I always
But
get.
I've also always been.
on the
Yeah, I
road.
get that too.
I've also always been very pro-female comic. Like, I book
You
more
have,
female
Dante.
comics than
You
most
have.
people.
Yeah.
Dante was one of the first comedian producers to book me when I moved to Los Angeles in 2002.
Right.
And give me stage time at the Canoga Bowl.
Right. And I hate when bookers hit on every female comic, and I send a lot of female comics on the road, and if I ever hear something back about, the headliner that they went with or the other comics or whatever being gross to them, I either never book that male comic again or I never book them with a female again.
No.
So I want to know your point of view on this, Dante, because I haven't really heard it from other comics. Male comics act a little different sometimes around girl comics. But what is your personal opinion when you see a guy, maybe you respect his comedy and you think he's a great comic, and then you just find out that he's kind of a scuzzball with
I don't
women?
book him. I don't book them. Like, let me give you an example. I'm not going to say a name, but there was a guy I used to go on the road with who would open for me, and he would cheat all the time.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Well, pretty much every comic, but
Sadly.
but he would cheat, and then we would show up to the airport a week later, and there's his wife and kids
Oh my
that
gosh,
I'm friends
awkward,
with,
right?
and it's like
Men are so stupid.
I had to stop going on the road with him because I was like, I don't like that about him. Mm-hmm. I like him as a person and I love his comedy, but it bothered me as just a human being to be put in that situation, and a lot of
hashtag real man right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, also, here's the other thing. His wife is great. She's gorgeous.
Don't say too
smart.
much.
I'm not. That's
That's a lot of comics.
Yeah. Come on. She's intelligent, smart, funny, good job, all this stuff. She's not a comic, but
Too much.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
That's not too much. That's a lot of people.
But here, let me give you an example.
You're offending Mitzi.
He hit on a woman one time when I was with him that just happened to be the last woman awake that night.
Okay.
She was probably 60. He was probably 32 at the time, 34.
Oh my gosh.
And he was hitting on her because he just wanted to have sex that night. He didn't care who, as long as he had sex. Like, it was
so
gross.
many guys are like that, though. No, you see that. Some guys.
I know, but here's the thing.
No, it's total. It's gross what he did. It's
Right.
gross. It's not.
And look,
acceptable.
we're all human beings. It's not my life. I'm not his wife. I just don't take him on the road anymore. That's just, it makes me more comfortable.
Well, that's very ethical. All right, I want to talk about a couple things. First of all, I don't know, are you still running for city council?
Okay, I'm glad you asked.
Glad you brought that up.
Glad you brought it up. I actually pulled out of the race for personal reasons.
Okay.
But they're good personal reasons mostly. My parents are both older and my father's having heart trouble, so that
That's not a good
scared me.
reason.
So that's a bad reason. Oh, yeah, you're right. That wasn't one of the good ones.
My dad's sick. That's not a good
Thank
reason,
God I'm here.
Dante.
Yeah,
All
really.
right. But the good thing about it is the inheritance. No, I'm sure he'll be fine, but it came right as I was ready to run, and that bothered me. And then the other good thing is, the movie is very successful, Bro What Happened, and so they're offering me more stuff to write and direct. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to serve the city the way I want to, because I wasn't doing it for publicity, for comedy or anything like that.
You're doing it 'cause you cared.
I truly care. Like, I love LA, and I do. Maybe I will be a part of it later. But I decided, I had so many people already starting to follow me that I'm going to give my followers a suggestion. I will support another candidate. So I called them up, I emailed them, I got responses, and I picked someone that I think would be great for my district, which is District 4, which covers Los Feliz, it covers near the Grove, it covers up Highland through Hollywood, over by the Laugh Factory, goes into Sherman Oaks, it's Silver Lake, it's all over the place. And the person that I would love to be elected to my district, his name is Steve Veras. People can go to steveveras.com, give donations, especially if you live in LA and District 4. But he's great. I've vetted all these people, and he's fantastic, and that's who I support.
That's awesome. I want to know what made you decide to run obviously you care about the city, you're passionate. My husband is always talking about, I want to run for city council, but he never does it. What was there something that happened that was negative or positive that just made you say, hey, I want to do this?
I think it's a lot of things. I think I get frustrated with certain things, and then I'll call city council.
And nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens. Like, for example, where we live in Hollywood, there's been 2 houses that have been abandoned for 6 years?
Yes, 6 years.
So they've been abandoned for 6 years, and homeless people come in there.
And their police are always outside in the mornings because neighbors have called because they're like, people are breaking into this house. It's constantly an issue, and yet nothing ever gets done.
Nothing gets done. And then on and on and on. There's a million other issues.
Yeah, that's one of many issues.
One thing is, obviously, we have a homeless problem in Los Angeles that we've always had, and we need to take better care of our homeless. But something that's been happening in Hollywood because of a law is there are homeless camps popping up. And I don't know if you've noticed.
I have seen them.
Okay.
They're encampments and tents and
right.
cities. And,
yes, all over Hollywood, which didn't used to be like that up till almost 2 years ago. It was like that in the 90s, and then I ran for mayor not wanting to be mayor, but I knew that with whatever fame I had, I would get into the debates. And so one of the things I was running for was enforcement or of loitering laws, which basically would get rid of prostitution on Sunset. So if you were standing by a telephone in the old days, back in the 90s, you couldn't anymore. You couldn't just stand there all day, which a lot of hookers said, I'm just waiting for a phone call. And
there goes my side paycheck.
Right. But with the homeless,
Thanks, Dante.
We do have these loitering laws.
Dreams.
So these camps, something happened downtown with Skid Row to where they had to make a law to protect them. And I understand this. We watched, what was the name of that documentary we saw about Skid Row? It was great. It was
I forget. Oh, it's called Lost Angels, I think.
Lost Angels,
and Catherine Keener was the narrator for it. It's a really, really well-made documentary about the homeless / mental illness problem of people living in Los Angeles.
But anyway, advocates for the homeless got upset because the police would come in, destroy everything there, take away all their stuff so that they'd want to leave. And they finally came up with ways to stop that from happening. Well, sadly, that law can't just stay in Skid Row. The law is throughout Los Angeles. So that's why homeless camps are popping up, because now the police can't make them leave. The rules are if they're awake during the day and there's enough room to walk by on the sidewalk, they can stay. And so we need to fix that. We need to fix that because here's why. It's not that I want to scoot them somewhere else, but I do want them out of Hollywood because it is bigger than the entertainment business is tourism. 1 out of 10 jobs in LA depends on tourism. And if people aren't coming to Hollywood because of homeless camps, then the whole place is going to fall apart. Especially with movies going to Canada and everywhere else.
Sadly, yeah, the movie industry is leaving LA, which is a huge problem. We need to make incentives so it can. Yeah, and that's not okay because this is where people live and their families live who work in the entertainment industry. We need to be doing what?
Nothing. I was just going to say, you and I are like the most boring comic guests ever. Because we're so into politics and stuff that we're just like so boring.
No, it's giving me anxiety because I moved out here from New Orleans 12 years ago, and all my actor friends in New Orleans are getting more gigs than I am.
Right, I know. My friend moved back to New Orleans, and because everything's... I mean, that's where a lot
Atlanta.
Or Atlanta.
All my friends in New Orleans. I had a couple friends that were in like Oscar-nominated movies. I'm like, maybe I should move back.
Like, right? Aren't you like, what the fuck? I live in Hollywood. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Wait, can you say the F word on here?
Ooh. Oh, you can say whatever you guys want.
Are you sure? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always getting in trouble for saying something inappropriate.
Or getting a gig because of it.
I know. Oh, schmack'll do. Yeah, we're boring. We are so boring. Stop talking schmoops.
No, you guys are fun and interesting.
Not really.
I actually have not had that many comics on the podcast. I've only had a few because I like to feature people who are a little more interesting. I don't know.
You mean normal?
Yeah, you mean normal is what you meant.
Well, first of all,
I know where that means.
Not insane. You don't want comics to know where you live.
You don't want, that which is smart, Rosie.
I've literally only had, I think, 3 comedians, and a couple of comics have gotten mad at me and say, "Well, why don't you have me on the podcast?"
And you're like, "Because you're crazy. I don't like you that much, buddy."
I've had political people, religious people, finance people, everyone but comics. If you're invited on the podcast, I really like you.
Tell me who the comics were. Now I'm interested.
I'm dying to know.
I had Graham Elwood.
Okay.
And he talked about going to Afghanistan.
I like Graham.
Excellent.
I had Yoshi Obayashi, and he talked about traveling. Porn and traveling around the world, and he hooked me up with some porn guests as well.
Nice.
But only even the porn guests, I'm very specific. I know a lot of porn. Unfortunately, as a comedian, I know a lot of porn stars.
Don't we all?
Me too.
Me too. Yeah. I know a lot of porn stars.
Like an extreme amount of porn stars, but I only wanted porn stars who had a specific point of view. I had a porn star that was a big feminist and talked about feminism and porn.
That's great.
Which is fascinating. Who did you have, by the way? Because
Ryder Sky.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I know her.
Yeah, and she's kind of like this cool hippie chick, and then I had Tessa Lane, who I don't know if you guys. She hosts porn karaoke at Sardo's every Tuesday.
Cool.
And we talked about girl issues, girly issues, and who are the other comics? I had Aiko on, and we talked about being Asian girls in comedy. And
that's adorable.
Wait, you're Asian?
I am. Sorry.
What?
You should tell people because this is.
I'm leaving.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know that when I showed up.
This is weird.
And then I had Nemra Nassar, who's from Lebanon. He's a stand-up. And then just you guys, and that's it.
Yay! Man, this is exciting. I feel really good about this.
Yeah. So
me too.
I'm very picky, and a lot of comics have been like, "Why don't you have me on your podcast?" I'm like, "You're not that interesting."
Sorry. And then here we are, we're like the homeless problem in Hollywood.
Blah, blah,
blah. Blah, blah. When I was going to run for
Make
District
sure
4.
you vote for Steve Veros.
And actually, I became so I was on your podcast about 2 years ago. 2 years ago?
2 years, probably.
A year or two. I don't know how long it's been.
And I became really, really good friends with Brendan Mendelsohn. BJ Mendelsohn, who was also a guest via audio.
Yes,
I remember
he's
him.
great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and he's been a guest as well, and he's one of my very, very good friends now.
That's so cool. We're bringing people together all over the place.
Wait, you mean Brendan Mitchell?
No, Brendan
Mendelsohn.
Oh, BJ. Yeah, I know. I remember.
Social
yes,
media.
I remember.
He wrote that book called
yes.
God, my brain is dead.
I remember.
Yes. Very successful writer.
Yes.
Very successful, and he almost had a heart attack. And
oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he had open heart surgery. He's alive.
Poor guy. We'll send him lots of good love and energy.
Yeah. Wow.
So now that we've been totally boring, I want to talk about Bro What Happened. So you guys have
Let's do it.
Finally something fun
that you directed, you starred in it,
and we both wrote.
Will you hand her that?
I will.
I want to talk about this for several reasons because first of all, it was an independent film. It wasn't studio produced, correct?
Correct.
And usually, when the mass masses think about, I will have a link to the film trailer and everything on the website, outoftheboxpodcast.com. But usually when people think of indie film, you know, there's this kind of art house French new wave image in your mind, and you guys made a really fun film.
Yeah. Yes, a college sex comedy.
Yeah, it's like if you took
The Hangover.
Yeah, The Hangover and
super bad.
Yes, totally. And put it on a college campus party.
Well, let's talk about the process, because, you know, this is like what most people come here to do, is to make movies, and you guys were, I don't know, I mean, you've been a star in tons of, you know, films, but making your own project seems to be the next evolution and totally different thing. So why don't we talk about that, so that people who maybe don't know about that part of the industry.
So if someone said, how did you do this? I don't have some great like Kickstarter story or something like that.
I'm so sorry, because there are a million ways to get a movie made. You
but
know what I mean?
But they're very hard. It's all a catch-22. Our way was, I had been directing some commercials and things like that. Rebekah has starred in a bunch of movies. A friend of both of ours came up to us and said he, who was a producer of hers, had merged with another producer to form a company, and that they had gotten enough money to make like 5 movies or something.
They had an investor.
To make 5 movies.
And you're like, woo!
Right. And so basically what they did was they said, if you two can write a script that we already have the idea for it, because this is what our distributor wants.
Right. They knew what they wanted. So it's not like we were the ones like, let's write this college sex comedy.
Right.
The distributor had certain genres that they wanted.
Correct.
And so they had found a script that some guy had written, and they liked the story of it, but they didn't like the script. So they said, can you guys rewrite this whole movie? And if the distributor wants it or likes it, and we can attach some stars, we can go for it, because then the investor will release the money to us. So we did that, and everything fell perfectly into place. And within like 2 months, we were on a movie set with a crew of like 50 people working for us, and about 60 lined actors and hundreds of extras.
Did you ever in the process go, whoa, what's going on?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, there were so many, I mean.
Well, from writing it up until that point, that took a while. That was almost a year, right?
What?
From the moment we started writing it and then rewriting it and then waiting on things, and then they're filming 2 other movies. They did Christmas Bell, and then they did Rivers 9, which I'm also in.
Right.
Comes out soon.
Right.
So it took about a year, but once the distributor finally got back to them, within 2 months we were filming, for sure.
It was more of a case of, you guys are working in the industry, you've been working for years and years, and everything kind of fell into place. It's not this Dallas Buyers Club story where you wrote a script and then it took 10 years to get the movie made.
No.
And then it was going to be made, and then it fell through the cracks, and then it was going to be made again, and then
this was just an issue of knowing the right people that had an investor, and us knowing that we would be confident in delivering what they wanted. You know what I mean? It's not like our passion project was to write a college sex comedy.
Yeah, that's true. Like, if this was not the script we wanted to write, but as a couple, it was fun to write together.
Absolutely.
We're both comics.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
All we had to do was make it funny, you know, and make sense.
Right, absolutely.
And
make sense, because it's hard. Here's why it's hard. It's one of those movies like The Hangover, but unlike The Hangover, where they investigate throughout the rest of the movie, where they go to a liquor store and go, hey, was I here last night? This movie is all retellings. So you have like 5 main characters trying to, tell these 2 main kids what happened through flashbacks. So we have to keep flashing back in the movie. And as a director and as writers, I suppose, it was really hard to do, because you have to remember who's telling the story what time.
You're like, wait, who's telling what?
Right. Because to make it interesting, like, Jason Hadley, right?
Yeah.
He plays the bouncer in the movie. So he has to remember when he saw these kids in the movie. Well, every time someone tells the story, they always tell it from their side of the story to make it sound better.
So it's confusing to keep track of everything.
Right.
As a writer.
In his side of the story, he's supposed to be a ladies' man and all the women love him. When this other girl's telling the story, she hates Jason's character.
He's like a loser, yeah.
He's a loser. She just, brushes him off. But in his version, every woman's kissing his cheeks as he walks by. So, it's one of those things where it was kind of hard to film.
And it seems like casting was really easy, because you've been in the business for so long and you know all these guys, right? Bobby Lee, Jamie. I mean, come on, you've known them for 10 years,
Forever.
12 years,
more
20.
I mean,
I mean, I've known Bobby since he was a teenager.
Yeah,
forever.
Yeah.
So that's easy. You know every comic in town.
Yes, and there's tons of comics in it. And, you know, it's funny. Lorenzo Lamas is in it, and most people know him as a serious actor, and he's hilarious in this movie.
Yeah, he's great.
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
And we even had a porn star that... Tell her how you picked her.
Ash Hollywood. Yeah, when we were doing our podcast at John Lovett still, she, you know, the porn stars had their own podcast. I forget what it was called, but Ash Hollywood, who's, you know, a porn star, came to do the show one time, and I was like, I think she would be perfect as the role. She's supposed to be like this demure Christian girl, but she ends up, you find out she's a big
Slooty
Hoo
yeah.
in the movie. But she was great. She was perfect in it.
Perfect.
And she's a good actress. And
the one thing I had to fight the producers on is they said the distributor wants boobs every 10 minutes.
for real, these are like actual conversations, like emails that were had.
So you need to write in sex scenes. You need to tell every actress she has to be naked. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. So what
I am like gaining so much. I already had respect, Dante, but now that I know that you're like kind of a super awesome guy,
thanks. And there are some boobs in here, but what I did was to appease them. What I would do is, instead of how they always put in like a shower scene where a girl's soaping up, what I would do was all of a sudden you're at a party and some guy goes, "Oh my God, that girl's showing her boobs." And then you see a girl for 2 seconds with her shirt off. And that's it. And I was like, dude, I put boobs in there. You said every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you end up seeing them, but it's not like it's it's not a late night Showtime or Cinemax movie by any means.
Nope.
Sorry,
everybody.
But there's hot chicks throughout it if that's what you're looking for, and hot guys and all that stuff. So
what more can you ask for?
Right.
I mean, come on.
and it's already like made its money back. It's only been out like 6 weeks. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy for this town.
Is it available on Amazon? How can people find it?
You can buy it on Amazon, and you can also get it on Netflix. And
Netflix DVD only right now.
Okay.
And then it's also at iTunes and most video on demand. I have Time Warner. I can't get it on mine, but my parents have Fios, or what do they have?
So the distributors and the producers are pretty happy with you guys.
Yeah,
very happy. 6 weeks. It actually made its money back in 3 weeks, and so everything it's making now is just it's butter. So that's great.
Yeah.
Which means they want us to make more movies.
So you'll have to be in Bro What Happened Part 2.
Yes.
I know. I'm like the only actress in Hollywood that Dante has called me several times with gigs, like paying gigs. I'm like, I can't make it.
I know. It's like, man, she's got it really going on. She's always turning down movie roles and gigs.
I don't know if you guys know Steve Hofstadter's show Laughs.
Oh, yeah. Were you on that?
He said, Rosie, submit, and I'll just put you on it. And I got too busy and didn't submit to it.
And now, is it still on?
It's still on. It's on Fox. But I'm like the only person in Hollywood that's like, I'm too busy. I can't.
Oh, Rosie.
But it's not like I'm doing all these crazy things. I just get really, really busy. And right now I have some personal drama going on, family stuff, but health stuff.
No, I'm so sorry.
Not on the air, but guys. But, oh my God, puppies are coming over.
Oh, Jamie.
So I want to talk about AVN Awards.
Yes, let's talk about it.
So, were you totally excited when they asked you?
Oh my God, so excited. Like I couldn't even believe it because this is also what?
Nothing.
Dante didn't even think that it was like
real. I didn't think it was real. Yes.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was so random because the guy who hired me saw me at the Comedy Store like
a year
11
earlier.
Months prior to that, right? I'm serious.
Okay.
And like had somehow.
So he kind of scouted you.
Right. And so like he had tracked me down and I was like, surely they don't. And I've never done comedy on television before. So I was like, they really want me to do this?
Because our agent called and said the AVN Awards want her to host the Showtime AVN Awards. And then that was it. That's all they told us and said, we'll get back to you. And she tells me this.
Did you think they were prank calling you?
Well, kind of. I was like, there's no way they want me to host because like Lisa Lampanelli's not like they've only had like
David
huge
Tell.
comics do it. You know what I mean?
I was like, honey,
they don't want me to host.
I was like, honey, they'll ask me before they ask you, and they're not going to ask me.
And I was like, he said that, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, maybe they want me to like do the red carpet stuff,
right?
Because,
it was
like,
hilarious.
A drag queen friend of ours had done that.
I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing because the whole time I just have this image. I don't know why in my mind. I have this image. I've been to your guys' house for one of your parties, and I have this image of Dante in the kitchen with this pink apron. I don't know why this image came into my head.
This is every day. Go on.
Yes.
And he's like icing cupcakes or something, and he's like, honey, they asked me before you.
Hilarious. I am the house husband, by the way. I do all the cooking and cleaning.
He is. You don't do all the cleaning.
No, you do all of the laundry and stuff, but I like pick up the house.
You do.
But I do all the cooking. Mm-hmm. I don't like to bake, though. I wouldn't be baking.
I don't either, so... So,
you guys
Rosie?
are so adorable. I actually am one of those people that I follow your Instagram, and one, I love all the puppy pics.
Meow, thank you.
So keep posting.
I will.
And
Don't you worry.
And then Dante's always like, "This is my girl. This is my. Oh, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to have."
I am I don't know. I must have saved a puppy. I don't know how I got so lucky.
I feel the same way because I have like the worst taste in men ever prior to Dante. Like, wow, lookout weekend, and somehow
and then when you found me, your taste was bad too, and I'll tell you why. Because I was separated at the time, going through divorce process and all this, and all of her friends were like, "Why do you always pick guys like who are married, going through divorce?"
Everyone was like, "Oh, here's Rebekah."
I was seeing another
choice.
comic at the time, and then she pops into my life. None of it is my normal life. Like, I am very committed to one person. And it was just a weird, bad time in my life, but it worked out perfectly because I've never been happier in my life.
I like it because I'm also in love, and I know a lot of haterish people.
I know people are so
who are not in love, and they're like, "Get a room." I'm like, "No."
They're like, "Fuck off."
Well, what people don't realize with me is my Instagram has nothing to do with anyone else but me. It's the only place that I know of where I can fix my photos. So if I want to make my yard look more green, I go there and I go, okay, now I can put that on Facebook and Twitter. So for me, Instagram is really just where I fix my photos.
I do it for, I kind of Photoshops too. Like I do one of the fuzzier filters, like when I look
too.
wrinkly.
Hello.
Like, look how young my skin looks.
Hilarious.
You do look young.
You
look
are
like
young.
You're 20, Rosie Tran.
You guys are so sweet.
It's true.
I am young, but I don't know if you get this, but when it's like you've been in the industry so long, you feel like jaded, like
Please.
not like in
Are you kidding me? Welcome to my life.
not in like an angry way, but like
I'm in an angry way. I am jaded and angry.
She's Jewish. She's always angry and angsty.
I feel like I'm 90 on the inside.
Well, like I've met comics before and that don't know who I am, and so they I look pretty.
And
young.
doesn't that piss you off? Because that pisses me off.
Well, they assume that I've been doing it for they haven't seen my set yet. They just
It doesn't matter. You're still Rosie Tran. You've been around for a long
Thank you,
time.
Dante.
It should piss you off a little bit. Like, you don't know me. Come on.
They'll meet me in the green room and they'll be like, "Oh, are you new? I've never seen you." And I'm like, and I never say anything. It happened to me in Ontario once. This girl who I knew she was new, like within 6 months of doing stand up, and she's like, "Are you new? I've never seen you before." And I'm like, "No, I've been doing it for a while." And she was like, she didn't say that I didn't seem funny, but she made some like snidey kind of weird comment.
I would have literally ripped her head off.
I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay. So
off.
I watched her set. I was very polite, and I watched her set, and she actually struggled really hard. And then
you were like, "Suck it, stupid."
And then I had a really good set. So I'm not too haterish because I met a comic up in Seattle when I was doing the competition up there who's been doing it, I don't know, 30 years or something. And he kind of said, well, he was in Nam. And he said comedy is kind of like the Vietnam War.
What?
He's like, when I was in Vietnam, soldiers would come and go, and he's like, that's how comedy is. It's like,
it is true.
Comics come and go, and the really important ones stick around, I guess.
It's true.
And as someone that's Vietnamese, were you highly offended?
I wasn't offended by that. I think he was just making a war reference.
Wow.
What?
Nothing. You're rude.
I know. Sometimes.
Okay, so you get this call from your agent. Dante's in the kitchen with a pink apron on.
Yes,
he says,
I'm baking.
I've changed the story.
Which I love.
He's baking with cupcakes. He's like, honey, they would call me before they'd call you.
I wish. Why can't that be the reality more? You baking cupcakes in the kitchen?
Would you rather that than a nice dinner every night?
No.
Are you sure? I can start making cupcakes.
So what happens? Do you do a dress rehearsal? Are you taking photos? Are you meeting with porn stars? Do they give you porno movies to watch?
Tell her everything. Start from the beginning.
I want to know.
We finally realized that they do want me to host the porn awards, and we're like, holy
After
crap.
you have a long meeting with a Jewish producer who is mainly talking to me, like he's
literally not even looking at me like I'm a person, and he's like, he's saying things like this. He's like, I never would have hired you, but. Yeah, this is what he said. He's like, but Showtime really likes you, and they're the ones paying for everything. So I guess
he straight up said that to you.
Oh, multiple times.
And what do you say at the very end about
me?
me?
He'd be like, I never would have picked you. Like he said this to me like
who would he
multiple
have
times.
Now he loves her. Now he loves her. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to say his name.
Don't tell me. But who would he have picked?
I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
But not me. He made it abundantly clear.
Every
time he called me.
And then the end of the meeting, he's like, I'm sure you're going to do it because Showtime wants you. And then he looks right back at me.
Did he work for Showtime or AVN?
He worked for AVN.
Okay. Okay.
And then he turns to me and what does he say to me?
He's like, I guess as long as you're there, it'll be okay. That's what he says. Like, I'm like this totally incompetent idiot that has no ability to perform. It was so insulting. But I mean, like, at the same time, he also is the ones facilitating me doing this job.
And before you go on, can I just say this? At the end of the show, the producers, including him and Showtime, said she was the best host they've ever had.
Oh, wow.
Which I was
and
so
here's why.
happy about.
We did the research. We watched everybody else who had ever hosted it.
And
they all got booed.
Crowd. Yeah, like, because
Lisa Lampanelli got booed.
At the AVN Awards?
Booed.
Oh, my gosh.
Dave Attell got booed.
Dave Attell got booed?
It's a tough crowd, and they're all like
they're high,
super drunk,
they're drunk,
and
they're showing their tits when the camera comes by while you're performing.
Did you write specific material for them?
Oh,
yeah.
You did your homework, right?
Oh,
that's why you were
for like a month and a half. All I did was like
we even hired writers to come on because she also was the host of the entire show. So these guys,
I wanted to like continue having jokes throughout the whole show. You know what
right?
I mean?
Every time she came out, we wanted jokes.
So why were other? I mean, David Tell obviously is a comic genius. Why were these people getting booed? Just because
the
they're
crowd
drunk?
is so bad.
The crowd is like just
they're not into comedy.
They're not there to they're not there to laugh. They're there because they want to see if they're going to win an award. Like, it's just a wild.
I want to see your footage. I don't have Showtime.
It's okay. It's online.
Yes, totally.
Just go to
YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
I will Google it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think
First
it just
of all,
says.
I was so excited when I heard that you were doing it. I was like, yeah, go, Rebekah.
Thank you.
I was so excited
I
for you
appreciate
because
it.
I thought you were perfect for it. Not that you're like a super dirty, crazy porn comic, but I could see you being really good at something like that.
Right. Thank you.
But yes, and then she went on to do photo shoots for it, which was fun. And then the last one,
You're nude holding your vajayjay. I saw that one.
I had to talk her into that.
Yeah, Dante's the one that talked me into that.
I love that photo.
And the reason I talked her into it is they had taken all these ones. They wanted her and the other hosts in lingerie.
It's been heavily airbrushed, by the way.
No, it hasn't.
Don't tell
no, it
anyone
hasn't.
that.
That is not
Girl,
true.
no one needs
That
to
is
know
not
that.
true. That is
It
not
is
true.
true. It is true.
No, that is not true.
It is.
There are plenty of it where it's not.
And plenty of
And
it
the
was-
one where it is airbrushed, all they did was make you more tan.
Wow.
But anyway, because she's very pale, so you're not super tan, right?
Right.
But what I was going to say about it was, I wanted her to do something crazy, and it was like, why not have a photo like that? You're not like that normally. If you're going to do it for some show, it might as well be the AVNs. You're not showing nudity.
You're so
Go crazy.
Italian.
Yeah, I know. I talk with my hands.
You guys can't see it.
What do you know? I just like to bake cupcakes.
I like to bake Italian food.
You guys can't see Dante, but he's rigorously moving his arm.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna keep my hands together.
This is not a visual. It's an audio podcast only, but I love it. It's
My
very-
hands get me in trouble all the time. She tells me on airplanes if I'm flying alone, I must seatbelt my hands together.
No, because when he's sleeping, he always has to be touching his wiener.
Always. I don't know I'm doing it.
Serious. I know he's asleep because like he always has to have a hand on the wiener. One of his hands like needs to be touching it. I don't know why.
I don't go to bed like that. That's not how I sleep.
But so then there we are in an airplane, and I'll look over and he's like, mouth gaping open, snoring, and his hands like on his dick in front of the whole plane.
Okay, back to airbrush Rebekah.
Back to airbrush Rebekah. Sorry about that, everybody.
Sorry.
So how many videos did they give you to watch?
Oh, they gave me a whole box of porn. Which, what happened to that box
Were
of
those
porn?
were those all the nominees?
No, they were just like, in case you want to know what porn is. Like, they assumed like I
We
had no
gave it
idea.
away.
You have to do it in the producer's voice.
Oh. We want you to watch this and like that's something like that. And you're not funny. That's what he would have said. I'm serious.
It's like, can you watch this Anal Rape 7 and you're not funny
And you're
at
not
all?
funny. He literally like every conversation would start or end and be like, I never would have picked you. But like I was so used to it by the time we actually did the show.
Even when he said she was the best host, he was like,
I never wanted you, but
You were
I'm
the best we've
glad.
had.
I'm happy. That's what he said.
You proved yourself.
Yeah. It was so daily. I'd be like, I get it. I wasn't your first choice. I get it. God.
So what kind of videos were they giving you?
Everything. Like you said, Anal Gangbang 7. Like,
We didn't watch any of them.
Did you watch them together or did she have her business time?
No, I didn't even
We
watch
just looked
them.
at the
I was
covers.
like, I don't need to know, please.
You're
like
like,
really,
I
like this
know.
is going to affect my. I know what's going on in here. And then, if anything, like anytime I would, because then when I got to know these girls, then when they'd show clips of them having sex in these
was
pornos,
weird,
I'd be
right?
like, oh God, I don't need to see her doing that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
She
then
refuses
it
to
got
look at
weird.
them.
Yeah.
In real life now.
Because you're friends with the girls
Well,
now.
yeah, now they're
Yeah.
like human beings. Like I can't watch them do that now. It's weird. But yeah. It was a very interesting experience. And it's interesting that to them, like, this is the Academy Awards. Like, they take it just as seriously. They cry when they win.
And they know that
I'm serious.
30 million people watch this.
And like
on
30
Showtime.
million people voted. Like, way more people than ever vote for any voting Academy of a show.
So it's
we
voting.
watch.
It's not like a panel of people that just like the Academy where they have.
It's their fans.
It's
fans all vote.
of porn are the ones who vote for these, like,
Yep.
best blowjob of the year, best
anal, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's sad when you have to have a category called best male-female sex scene.
because that's how we. Yeah,
It's true, and that's one of them.
It's
Porn
true.
has gotten so
Like, wow.
fetishized and
Yeah.
weirdo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel bad because there's also like they brush over like the gay stuff, any of that, tranny, any of that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it was very quickly. They
very
just show
quick, yeah.
and the winners for blah blah blah. It's sort of like when they say in the sound engineers for this.
I know the trannies totally.
Trannies are the sound engineers.
Are the sound engineers
Yes.
of the voting academy for porn? Yeah,
Right, they just show the title and say they won earlier today.
right.
I'm not going to go off a complete side tangent, but you mentioned, the gay category. So I wanted to bring this up because I think this is one of the most honorable things that I've ever heard in my life. So you are engaged.
Yes,
We
and
are.
You're not going to get married until everyone has the right to get married. Is that still correct?
Absolutely.
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it's the right thing.
It would be
to do.
weird. It's sort of like if this were the
And I get
60s.
that everyone's decision. I mean, like everyone should do whatever's ever right for them. But I just feel like it's the right thing to do.
Right. It's just, I don't know. Most of our friends are gay.
And even though they now have the right here in California, I mean, like
That's still
there's
not
a
the rest of the
huge
country.
section of the country that are like nowhere close to being treated like equals, which is really shitty that most of the states in America are still treating gays like they're second-class citizens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's changing rapidly.
It is changing. But
Yeah.
So I predict it should be converted maybe 100% in the next 2 or 3 years.
I
think
agree.
so?
I agree with you.
I think so because
Even Republicans have given up on this issue.
You're
they
right.
they
You're
have
It's
they
the
have,
Christian conservatives that are holding on to it, but the Republicans gave up.
a lot of Republicans have given up on it. Rumsfeld's daughter is
Yeah.
a lesbian, came out, he gave up on the issue. A lot of people are because 1 in 10% of the population, so about 1 in 10, so that's 10% of the
Yeah.
population is associates themselves as LGBT,
Right. In
some
one way or the other.
Right.
in one way or the other. So that's a lot of people,
Right.
Yeah.
And so everyone knows someone or is friends with someone or related to someone that is either gay, bi, trans, whatever.
Right.
And so I think it's kind of hard. Like you said, when you watch porn, it's hard to see these girls like that when you know them as people. It's hard to hate or bash someone when it's like your
them as
brother
people.
Right.
or whatever.
Or your
And-
cousin or your aunt or
exactly.
And you have to give Hollywood credit. I think Will and Grace and all these other shows, and even Rebekah's Eating Out movies, all these things that sort of went mainstream with gays, all of a sudden made the country go, oh, we can relax. You know what I mean? Because I felt like it was so prejudiced against gay people. Even my parents, when I was growing up, they were like, oh, I don't want you guys to have Elton John records, even though he's good, but I don't want to give money to gays. You can just listen to him on the radio. And now my parents are in their 80s, but that was also because they didn't know a lot of gays.
Right.
They didn't hate them. They wouldn't have killed a gay man. My mom, I guess her mom's best friend was gay, but it was still put in their heads that these are perverts, these are bad people, they choose to be gay. And now my parents are completely turned around, right? Mm-hmm. Like completely.
super liberal.
Super liberal in their 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just, it needed to come out to where people weren't thinking, oh, these gay people are I think in the old days, people just thought of them as perverts and child molesters.
Sexual deviants.
Which
Yeah.
isn't true. Yeah.
I think that there is some very small percent, but that's with straight people as well.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
obviously a percentage
Of course.
sexual deviants.
Of course.
And other, so it's not a specifically gay gene or gay thing that's making people, whatever. So when's the wedding?
I guess, like you said, in 2 or 3 years. Really, like, I'll marry her tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. We still call each other husband and wife. A piece of paper isn't going to matter. And, I don't care. My daughter thinks of her as her stepmom already. Mm-hmm. So, there'd be not much of a change. I love her. She has a ring on her finger. I would love if she had a wedding ring, if she wants it. But definitely not now. Not until the whole country changes. We can't change the world, but we can change at least wait for our country to catch up, which I think is actually happening fast. Sorry.
I do.
I know.
No, I do. That's why
I didn't expect a black president this quickly.
Well, not that it's been quickly, but I mean, it's,
Right, but when I first started watching 24, I was like, that'll never happen. Not in my lifetime, but I hope my daughter sees it. And now we're probably going to have a female president next.
Yeah.
Yay!
Gays have rights, finally. Like, everything happened so quickly. Like, super speed. And I think it's because of internet and everything else.
I do. I think the internet helps a lot. There's still parts of the world that are not where they, in Africa with the in some countries they are banning homosexuality and other things and killing.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, America is at the forefront. We're one of the world leaders, and hopefully when we make the change, other places will make the change.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up because I think it was really cool that you guys decided to do that.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we actually have a Twitter campaign called We Will Campaign, and it's basically we will wait until everyone has the same rights. So if you guys want to join
wait.
it.
Like, this is not an abstinence.
Yeah. No.
We didn't wait. You guys hump a lot. Come on. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you went upstairs for a second, we humped again.
Totally.
Like, all day, like rabbits.
You're not wrong.
But I do have to say this. We have a great sexual relationship. I don't even know why I'm talking about this because you brought it up. But I think that's good. I think it's important in a relationship. I think a lot of people let it go. And I don't know. I believe in not just the sex, but the romance.
You guys also have a very healthy comic relationship, which I can't say I've had.
Yeah.
I had to marry a civilian.
I did that.
And so I just commend you for that, because usually comics are a little kooky, and so the mix together is not good. But you guys are really normal, which I think.
No, we're not that normal.
Well, we're pretty normal. Come on, we're also not the crazy couple that but. I think
you guys are pot, not cocaine.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Huge difference.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
I think what makes us work is that we truly love each other and we are not jealous of each other. When she got the AVN Awards,
that's
some male comic would probably be really pissed and shitty about it. I couldn't have been happier. I was like, oh my God. Like,
and you got to go. And have fun.
Yeah, and I was even a paid or like a writer on the AVNs because whatever, I was there and whatever, it was great. But I think it works if you're similar. But a lot of comics who get together do it sometimes out of he's cute, she's cute, let's make out, even though we're both insane and should not be dating.
Yeah,
we're both insane. That's true.
Only one needs to be insane in the relationship. Me.
Great.
It doesn't matter. Whoever wants
it's
it. You can take it.
I don't want it.
All right, I'll take it.
I'm the normal one.
All right.
She's the normal one. You're the crazy one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, back, I went on a side tangent with the whole gay marriage thing. Back to originally what I was talking about. So you get these videos, you didn't watch them, but you decided, hey, I'm going to watch the old footage of other comedians and write towards the audience.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is on Showtime, and you can see these comics bombing?
Not bombing, but showing like footage, like cutaways of them not having the best sets ever.
They would start out great, and then all of a sudden you could tell the crowd gave up, and then all of a sudden they would get booed.
Did they show them getting booed?
Yes, Lisa Lampanelli, look her up. She says something about the reason there's no Asian porn stars, and all of a sudden the whole crowd boos. And she's like, shut up. The reason and all of a sudden this Asian porn star stands up, and he's yelling at her. She's like, sit down. Blah. The reason and of course we all know she's going to tell a little dick joke or whatever, and they booed her. Even after she tried yelling out the joke, they booed her, and her set was over at that point.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you ask about this. She and I, on the drive to Vegas, we had written a joke and we couldn't make it work for whatever reason. Remember? It just wouldn't work. And then I remember we were out at her mom's house. We were staying at the Hard Rock, but for some reason we came to town early so we could stay with
Vegas,
her mom.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, we didn't want to check in. We would rather stay with family. So we check into the hotel almost like the day before or something. Mm-hmm. But I remember the night before, all of a sudden I went outside and I had an epiphany on the joke, and I came running in and I was like, baby, you know that joke we wrote? You can tell it if you do this, this, and this. And that was her opening joke, and it killed. And it killed. It killed. Like, I don't know how I fixed it. I don't remember what was wrong with it before I fixed it. I think the fact that it ended on the city it ended in is why it worked.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. You guys are going to tell it to me.
So when I went out, I was like, you guys are the best looking audience in the world. fuck the Academy Awards. You guys are the real actors, which was good because then they like were on my side.
They were cheering at that point.
I said, fuck the Academy Awards. And then I'm like, I was watching this porno once where this girl was getting fucked in the ass by a big old porn cock while laying on a bed of rocks at 110-degree weather in Chatsworth, California. And she looked like she was having a good time. That's acting. That is acting. And then I was like, because nobody has a good time in Chatsworth, California. And then they all were like, yay, that's where they make all their
film.
pornos. You know what I mean? So it was a great opening joke. And then they could tell that I was like on their side and, you know.
She had them from that moment on.
Was it because other comedians were too much about making fun of porn?
Yes.
A little bit. Yes. I think
and you were more on their side, like hey, I get it.
Yeah.
Because her next joke was like about porn and it wasn't degrading them. She was...
But I do think that was a problem some of the time is they weren't playing to them at the right angle. You know what I mean? Because
like they're just making fun of porn.
Right. They would come out and say, well, if your dad would have hugged you more.
And they're like,
right. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, because this is their livelihood. Like this is this is their livelihood.
And a lot of the girls I have met, in the girls I've had on the podcast and other porn stars that I've met, just for some reason I know a lot of fucking porn stars.
Me too.
Stop going to porn star karaoke.
they take the job very, very seriously.
Yes.
And a lot of people look, oh, you're a fucking whore or whatever.
Right.
But they take it very seriously. You know, I know Tessa was on the show, Tessa Lane, and she said she always aspired to be a porn star when she was a little girl. And that was something that she wanted to do.
A lot of girls now are like that, especially because there's so much money and so much fame to be had. I mean, it's something that a lot of girls aspire. Like, so many girls from doing the AVN Awards follow me on Twitter, and it's like, aspiring porn star. You know, just these girls who are trying to break into the business.
It's so strange. I mean, it's not I don't get it, but I get that there's people out there that want to do it.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, they do get offended when people, of course, no one wants to be called a whore, you know what I mean? But they, in their minds, like, they're just performing, like they're not.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like there's all these little worlds out there. Like there's a cosplay world, and there's stars in the cosplay world who dress up like Sailor Moon and dress up like all these characters.
Right.
And if you're not familiar with that, you would be like, oh, that's so stupid. Like, why do they go and do that? But if that's your life and that's how you make money and you go to conventions, and it's like, obviously you would be offended if someone's going to say that's stupid, or why would you?
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I mean, a lot of these women are married. They have kids.
And that's what I didn't understand. Like, some of them meet there and they marry each other. But there was I'm not going to say who, just in case they don't want the whole story out, but one of the people we talked to, she was not a porn star when she got married. Her husband is very successful.
Don't say what he does.
I won't. He's a multimillionaire.
He's in business or whatever.
Right.
Yes.
He's in business.
Or whatever.
Or whatever. Maybe, he makes pennies. I don't know what he does.
He makes lots of money.
Right. And he told her there's a stripping contest where it's $500.
So he encouraged her.
Yeah. And that's how, like, she went and she started stripping, and then someone asked if she wanted to do lesbian porn, and her husband said, I don't care. And then from there, she got asked to do straight porn, and he was like, well, I guess so. I mean, why not? And now, I mean, like, they're a husband and wife, but he goes and does his job during the day, and she goes and does her job during the day.
I don't get it, because I would cry if I saw her holding a man's hand like she meant it. I've seen her hold hands in movies. That doesn't mean anything.
Clearly,
or kiss a man, but
clearly he must have some fetish of liking seeing other men have sex with his wife.
Right.
You know?
And that's okay.
I mean, I have to imagine, or else
that's fine.
But ladies listening, isn't it a job when you're having sex with a guy you're not that into?
Totally.
Because it's usually a job even when you're into him.
I mean, no, you're totally right. Like, I mean, I can't imagine, like, giving 15 blowjobs. Like, that's a job. You know, if that's what you did, that job. Like, that is a blow job.
Well, certain porn stars we've talked to will even say that. They're like, ugh, even the guys in porn, they think I'm liking it while we're doing it. It's like, don't be a douche. Like, just get off me.
Yeah.
Most of them actually say the only time they have fun is when it's them and another woman.
Yeah.
And they're straight in real life. They just happen to enjoy that better than some douchey guy that they don't like. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean, to them, it's just another day at the office, you know? Like, that's how they make money. That is.
It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of interesting, have you heard of the book Tinseltown?
I haven't.
Oh, we're obsessed. By the way, we need to...
I'm reading a stand-up book right now. I'm Dying Up Here? No, I don't know. It's upstairs on my bed. Have you
I heard of that. Who
where's
who
my
wrote that?
phone? I don't know the writer. My dog is crying for water. 5 more minutes. We're almost done. She's
Sorry,
like
Mitzi.
pushing her water bowl into the wall.
I'll go get water. Is it just sink water?
Just sink water. Okay. Aw,
It's your show. You girls talk.
Mitzi's like, but I'm perched.
I think I'm dying up here. And it's a stand-up kind of history book, and it talks about how the Tonight Show moved to LA and the Comedy Store and all this. And I told my husband last night, I'm like, I need to stop reading this. It's making me sad.
Why?
Because they talk about...
it's different. So different now?
No, because they just talk about... I'm on a big feminist kick, and they go and talk about how Johnny Carson hated all women comics except for Joan Rivers, and he didn't want women on the show, and all these other things about... Oh, there was all these funny women, and then they quit because it was so horrible. I'm like, no!
Yeah, it's really depressing.
Yeah, I hate how people treat female comics. It bothers me to my soul. Does it
bother you more now that you are married to a female comedian, or did it bother you before?
It bothers me as much equally, always, but it offends me more when I hear it to her, and I'll stand up for it, but she usually does it herself. Mm-hmm. But people say things to her like, oh, you're too pretty to talk that dirty. They would never say that to a man.
Said that to an audience member?
Yes.
It's like, you don't need to say things like that.
But they've never said that to a man. They would never say that joke's too dirty.
The funniest thing that I think is that when I do a show and the lineup will be mostly, men, and they're pretty filthy. And I have a couple dirty jokes. I actually have analyzed my bit my whole act for several reasons. One, I did a show and this lady came up to me afterwards and she's like, "You're so Asian. You're so Asian and cute."
What?
She meant it as a compliment. I sat down and I had taped my set. It was it was a 40-minute set I was featuring, but I went over because the headliner didn't want it. Anyway, I analyzed my entire set, which I had taped, and I was like, I only have 3 Asian bits, bits that I talk about, and the rest of my act is about being married and some of my dating stories from when I was in my 20s and making fun of my family, but I don't specifically say anything about I have 3 Asian bits out of a 40-minute set. And I was like, why did she say that about me? And then kind of the same thing with the female thing. I did a show and the guys were pretty dirty on the show. And then I did my set. I had a couple dirty jokes. And people were like, "Oh, you're so funny. You're so dirty."
Oh, I get that. I mean, please.
Because you're a woman. That's the only reason they're saying it.
And I was like, surprised that they said it to me because, some of the guys were talking about jerking off and blah, blah, blah. And I went through the set that I did that night and I only really had 2 dirty jokes in the whole set. And I get that a lot with "you're so filthy."
Always. It doesn't matter. Guys can say the most horrific thing on stage and I won't say anything even half as, quote unquote dirty as what they were saying.
And people, "Rebekah, you're so dirty."
"Oh yeah, you're so filthy. You're such a filthy comic. You're such a filthy girl comic." I'm like, what?
You want to hear something else that they do? We were just performing in Kansas City. And they had this poster of me up, and it was nice, and it listed last comic standing, and all these things, all my credits. And then with her, it doesn't even say, she's been in a million movies. It just says, eating out star, which makes it sound like porn. Which is, the eating out movies are these gay comedies she's in, but they don't even say that. It just says eating out star. There's nothing about the AVN Awards or other movies.
And then, I believe you. That's why I'm laughing.
And then the next line, all it says, so here's her 2 credits, eating out star, and then the next...
And this is on the wall with all these male comics that have Tonight Show, last comic standing, and then me, it says eating out, and then underneath it just says hot female comic. I swear to God.
Under her photo, they have to say hot female comic.
I was so embarrassed. I wanted to rip it off the wall. I'm like, really? This is how they see me. It's just a hot female comic. The level of disrespect. It is funny. You have to laugh or cry.
We took photos. We laughed.
It's funny.
It's just
funny
shitty.
because it's so sad. But I had I had the same thing where I was performing and they had a picture of me. I used to model in my early 20s, and they had just a picture of me on the wall in a bikini.
Oh
nice.
My God.
No credits.
Oh
all the other
God.
comics are it's their headshot with their suit. They're wearing a suit.
Of course.
And then it's me in a bikini from when I was 19.
Wow.
And you're you're kidding me. What happened to my life?
Wow.
The worst.
Okay, you guys are killing me, but we have to wrap up.
No!
I know I said it's only an hour, but do you guys have anything else to promote? I know we've been talking about the movie.
Yes.
You guys go online and find it. How can they find you online, on Twitter?
So let's give our Twitter stuff, and then she wants to talk about this charity. Wait.
Quickly.
Yes. Our Twitters, she's Rebekah Kochan. I'll spell it REBEKAHKOCHAN. You can go to the .com. You can find her as that name on Twitter, Facebook.
You're so cute, Dante, but I'm going to put a link.
Oh, good.
All right, great. And then, fine. Then mine's Dante the Comic or Comic Dante.
And really quick, I want to tell you, Dante and I are attending this very important event on January 18th for the International Alliance for the Prevention of AIDS. They're just now coming to Los Angeles and starting fundraising, and it's a huge deal. They do amazing work. If everyone listening could go to IAPAindia.org, and maybe you can also put a link.
I will. Just
IAPA India.
.org and check out this organization. They're doing amazing work bringing awareness of AIDS to India, and they've done it in Africa, and they're just great.
And are you guys going to be performing at a benefit, or
no? We're just there to support the
support
organization, and anyone can also attend this benefit on January 18th if you go and check out their information.
Maybe you guys can create a stand-up benefit for them.
I know. That's a great idea.
Hint, hint, hint.
Hint, hint,
yes.
wink, wink.
She loves charities.
Rosie Tran.
What do you want for Christmas?
There's this organization called Heifer International.
She wants to give chickens to poor people and cows.
No, it's true. Instead of like giving money to these impoverished countries, instead like this organization, which is great, like Jimmy Carter supports it, gives animals, and it also it just makes their lives better. It provides food, but then they can also like sell
the eggs,
stuff, or
the
eggs or the milk to their neighboring
amazing.
people.
Heifer International.
You guys are just like me. I'm bad. I go online. My friend volunteers at this church group where they go to Africa and help orphaned kids that were orphaned from Ebola and AIDS.
Oh my gosh.
And she sent me a link. It was a horrible idea. I was watching it. They're playing freaking Sarah McLachlan. I'm like crying, like, no.
Oh my God.
I want to go to Africa. It's bad. They show the little kids and their eyes are all big, and they have the cute
I'd want to take every one of them home. I couldn't do it.
So
I couldn't do it.
And then my husband comes home. He's like, "Are you looking at those websites again?" I also go on petfinder.com and look at abandoned puppies.
Everyone should at least foster one.
I know. Trust me, I can't even. If there's like a dog adoption thing going on down the street, I can't even walk by it because I can't handle it. Like I'm like, I'll take all of them. Like I just.
And the worst is when they have the puppies that were like, "Oh, this dog was found in a closet that the people like abandoned him and locked him in a tool shed."
God, I know.
And then
it's
I'm like, no.
Right, I know. You can't handle it.
I can't believe that people treat animals like that.
I can't handle it either. I really can't. It makes
but they treat each other like that too. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's true. We don't. It's true.
It's true, and that's why you guys go on those websites that they mentioned. I will have them linked on outoftheboxpodcast.com.
Yes.
And you guys support the benefits and be a good person.
And support this podcast.
Support this amazing podcast because Rosie Tran's amazing.
And her stand-up. Go see her. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This has been Out of the Box Podcast with Rosie Tran and Dante and Rebekah.
Yay.
Thanks for having us.
We did it.
Follow them on Twitter and also visit us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Guys, click on the subscribe button. I've told you this once and I'll tell you this again.
Do it.
When you click on the subscribe button, what it does is it pushes us up on the ranking on iTunes, and it makes more people be able to find the podcast. So if you don't want to go on outoftheboxpodcast.com and click on the donate button by supporting us with Bitcoins, Litecoins, alternative coins, or regular US dollars, then you can subscribe, and that will help us out even more. Thank you so much. And guys, this has been Out of the Box Podcast with Rosie Tran.